Hello, all you shopaholic fiends and art-collecting marsupials. Welcome to a show that introduces you to an exploratory expedition into the fuzzy-wuzzy world of the furry fandom, for what it's worth.
Wisconsin, Texas.
In today's episode, pull out your credit cards and PayPal apps as we delve into the do's and don'ts of the dens made specifically for dealers.
Bananaconda.
The Dealer's Den, where if you play your cards right, you could be leaving with more than what you bargained for.
Only certain cookies can be part of this new regime.
And I'm sure if you need a little bit more coin, I'm sure you could provide a service in the night market. Winky face.
Ooh, welcome to my classroom.
What's that? You've never heard of a night market? How old are you again?
Where's the show gone?
Well, no matter. You won't be needing a flashlight on this one. Allow our sharp, smart, saving host, Sammy, to guide you through the rights and wrong of this foreign world. Joined by the deal-saving Rube, haggling master Click, price-matching Porpoise Vows, and the one who will willingly sell you the lab coat for the last print, Nuka!
Well, we're back. We're got another episode. Yay! Hope you guys all enjoyed our lovely intro by our lovely Charlie. I know I did. He's always a fun can of beans to hear before the episode starts. I don't know. That's what came to my brain, so that's what I said.
Is a can of beans entertaining to listen to in an age of social media and unlimited internet access to media? Is that what the kids are doing?
Isn't that what ASMR is? Is just like weird random sounds?
So I have to ask a little bit more about this can of beans. So these can of beans, are they like furry feet that's been like put into a jar? Like that sounds so morbid.
Oh,
that would be
that's not good.
That would be a can of toe beans. That's different. That's its own thing. These are just beans. Okay, well, that's why you don't have me open the show. It's always a train wreck.
Actually, I thought that was a really good opening. You did actually really well.
I think you nailed it. Yeah.
Oh, well. Well, I'm going to get off me for a little bit, and let's do some recaps. I'm gonna start with Click this week. Hey, Click, what have you been doing?
Starting with the exciting one.
Yeah.
Yay.
I think you're very exciting. You have a lot of interesting things that happen in your life.
I live an exciting lifestyle of work.
I mean, isn't that just the lifestyle anyway? Well, that's okay.
I did participate in the Sony uprising. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Talk about the Sony uprising.
The whole Helldivers 2 PSN thing. That was fun.
True, the social issue of our time.
Yeah, right? Well, it got huge, and I don't know why. Well, I know why, but
yeah,
I don't know.
That
maybe,
was the
maybe
whole.
because I was involved.
They were like, you have to have a PSN account to play.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they started like I guess it's originally was always supposed to be there, but then they were like, our hardware sucks, so we're not going to do it. And then a couple months later, they're like, hey, guess what? We're going to do it now. And everybody got pissed off.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
That's fair.
So,
Well, that makes,
that was fun.
Not that we're like trying to argue semantics or anything like that, but I do find it interesting. And I did talk to you guys a little bit about this, so I understand a little bit more than I did at the time. But I was kind of like, well, all companies require some sort of separate account. But
somewhat.
But I think what's really annoying about this is the whole fact that, there were people that were playing it, and then all of a sudden they couldn't anymore because
well, that's one of the biggest reasons, and the big I don't know what we're looking for. Anyways, that was one of the biggest things about it is,
They sprung it on people.
Well, and PlayStation Network isn't available in most of the countries of the world,
Oh.
like at all. So once they required that, now you have this game that you paid for and been playing for 3 months and have absolutely zero access to.
Yeah, that is
Which is
pretty
part of
fucked.
their ongoing thing, because now, in the midst of all all this, Steam and and I don't know. Anyways, they basically dropped it and removed access for everybody in those countries where PSN isn't available, and they still haven't given it back. So I mean, it's kind of ongoing.
Yeah.
And I imagine you couldn't get a refund at that point. So you bought this game that you suddenly can't play, and you can't get a
Right.
refund.
Well, that was another big part of it, but fortunately, Steam isn't stupid. So if you were in one of those countries, they kind of waived the whole 2-hour limit thing.
Yeah.
So you could get a refund, but I mean, it still sucks that, we all got Sony to back down, and now it's not required, but they still haven't reinstated access in all those other countries. So there's still a lot of people who are out.
Yeah.
More gaming hot takes like this
I know,
on this
right?
new gaming podcast of ours.
Well, no, I mean it's interesting because
It turned into
I'm
a big
I'm teasing,
deal.
I'm teasing,
Yeah.
I'm teasing.
I don't know. It was kind of, it was weird because it happened so quick, right? I mean, they announced it on Friday and then they changed their mind on Monday. So there's YouTubers that have videos that came out after they had reversed their decision, saying that they decided to do this. It was weird. People, everybody had a hard time keeping up.
Yahtzee from Zero Punctuation had that happen to him. It was funny.
Yeah, by the time they actually produced their video, everything's already back the other way, so now they gotta start all over.
Because he had the review, and then he had an addendum, then he had an addendum to the addendum.
Right.
that's the problem with
Right.
trying to keep up with all the topics. It's like
Yeah.
2 seconds later it changes, and you're like, whoa.
That's
So I was
why
like, I don't
we
like
don't
being
talk about political events.
That's why we don't do
on our
Right.
show.
news. But this is fun.
Right.
This isn't
But
news.
that
I
went
know,
fast.
I'm not
and
saying
that was
it's
a thing.
political.
But well, that's fun.
But then my
um,
new game of choice is one called Foundry. It's basically a Factorio, Satisfactory, and Minecraft had a bastard child.
nice. That's awesome. I think I've heard of that one, but I don't know much about
Yeah,
it.
it's on my to play list.
It's pretty fun. It's not bad. I mean, it's kind of more of the same, but it's interesting since it has the whole Minecraft accent or aspect. It's a voxel based, so you can manipulate the environment, which is an interesting twist.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been up to.
Speaking of segues, how are you doing there, Rube?
Oh, well, I have been relapsing 100% into what it says by the show notes, my masturbation addiction. Like, what is
Why-
this? Who's?
Why do you sound surprised when you wrote that in the show notes?
I did not write
I
that in
mean-
the show notes itself. It just all of a sudden appeared, and
Well, he's in denial again.
It's
so.
in
You
a
can't really
Google-
call it a relapse when you never slowed down.
Well, if I look at this Google history, this says Nuka that has added this. Nuka, are you saying that you have some issues that you need to talk about?
Nuka, he's hacked your
No.
account.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that this is an intervention from all of us. We're trying to tell you something, Rue.
Well, Nuka, instead of an intervention, if we all just joined in and did stuff together, then it would solve my issue of it not being masturbation anymore. Anywho, so I've been working with Vive trackers now. So I ended up getting some Vive trackers for VR chat. And
Say. Okay, so hold on. What's a vibe checker?
so Vive tracker are
Vive
Vive, Vive.
Vive. Sorry, I'm old and don't know. Okay, so what is this?
so
Sorry?
it's
Vive tracker.
for VR chat. So they're these little tiny pucks, which I know that people can't see, but there are these little tiny pucks that you can put on to these little tiny straps, and it's very easy. You just snap it on and put it on your waist or put it on your legs. So then that way, when you get into VR chat, you can walk around or wiggle your butt and look at it for an hour. Maybe I would have.
So do you have to have like a whole bunch, like one on each limb or something like that, or is it?
It's just to be able to help you. Yes, yes, you have to have one on each limb to be able to walk around.
Okay.
So then that way your computer or the trackers can actually track where you're located. So it's really cool technology, and so been trying them out. They were very expensive. If you get into VR, you can do VR like cheap, but VR is a very expensive hobby. So
If you want to
Like
go all
Warhammer
out.
40K.
Yeah.
what's that?
Oh, I said like Warhammer 40K.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I've been keeping up with my VR Mondays. So every Monday I get on and do something called furry VR evening or furry home evening. I don't know. So people have been calling it different things. So for if you know anything about Utah, in our culture here, they have something called family home evening.
If you know anything about Utah, they have these things called furries.
Oh,
there.
gross.
But that's what I've been up to, and it's been pretty fun. So I got a chance to reconnect with somebody a couple nights ago, somebody that I haven't talked to in like years, like pre-pandemic time frame. So it was good to reconnect with them. So anywho, Nuka, what have you been up to?
Yeah. What have I been up to? So I'm taking the summer to work on my courses. So everyone's like, what do professors do when they're not teaching? And as it turns out, they prepare to teach. So, yeah, I'm going through reviewing textbooks for my courses, trying to find good free textbooks, and then just rebuilding my courses from scratch every few years just so they don't get stale. I've been walking like just an ungodly amount. I think in the last 3 weeks I've walked 350 kilometers, which I think in like freedom units that's like 100 or 200 miles or something like that. So
Do you sing the song while you're walking?
I do not, but I will.
could
I will
walk
almost certainly
500
pass
miles.
500 miles by the end of the summer. That's the goal. Other than that, I've been gearing up for Anthrocon, so getting in ethics and everything for Anthrocon, getting ready to book my flights and everything like that, which I should have done weeks ago, but have not. And then in what little time I have between all of that, I've been gaming. I finally picked up a little game called Hi-Fi Rush that everyone's been telling me about, and even though I'm absolute shite at rhythm games, I'm digging this one so far. I've only a few hours in so far, but I like it.
Yeah, I've had a chance to play that game, and it was very, very good. I didn't have a chance to finish it. I know that sounds terrible, but I have been wanting to go back in. But even with that, I mean, with the drama that's happened this particular week, even Hi-Fi Rush ended up getting hit with drama.
Yeah, it's had some issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, getting the studio
The
closed.
whole studio got booted, and it just it definitely puts a light on what's the problem with the gaming industry. It's very difficult to go, like, I have a friend that he is really struggling because he's well known, like he does a lot of music for video games, and he is struggling. He's at the point where he's actually created his own studio because he's just been struggling to be able to find a company that he can stay with without them going under. So,
Or doing layoffs.
yeah, layoffs and different things like that. And it's not because he's bad at his job. It's just, part of the situation with the gaming industry. So it's sad to see that what's happened with Hi-Fi Rush and the devs of that.
How about you, Sammy? What have you been playing?
Mostly, well, I didn't put it on the notes, but I did finish, finally, my first run through of Baldur's Gate 3. So
I'm still trying to do that.
That was
I hear ya.
awesome. I don't know. I don't want to give spoilers, but it's been out for a while. I
haven't beaten yet.
I'll take off
managed
my headphones.
to do it without blowing somebody up, which felt so good in my heart.
I thought you were gonna say I managed to do it without blowing somebody.
No, that happened like multiple
no.
times already
Yeah.
in my playthrough. Like 100%. Any chance, any opportunity to do that.
You
I
get to
was
that in
all
the
for
first
it.
act.
I mean, it's throughout the game. You get a few chances, but it also helps if you don't kill all the companions. Click.
They're just holding you back.
By the way, we actually had for what it's worth, it wasn't for what it's worth because it wasn't all of us, but we actually had a campaign that we were doing, and I really wish that Click would have chose the Dark Urge, because quite literally, like, a character comes on and he's like, "Who needs this guy?" and just kills him.
So I was saying, you get to do all the fun, naughty things if you don't kill
I
all
still
the
haven't
companions.
played that, progressed that at all.
Yeah.
It's still sitting right where we left
I
it.
want to
No.
continue it. It's fun.
Yeah. So,
Although at this
and
point,
then-
we should just restart and do a Dark Urge and then really make it a...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, is we're really not that far. We just barely finished the first area.
Yeah. Yep. So other than that, been working on Final Fantasy 14. Got my I'm only level 45 warrior Hrothgar character, so probably the only class I'm gonna do, because I don't have the patience or the desire to do all of the classes. So we'll see.
Is it really grindy? Or...
It can be kind of grindy. It's just there's a lot of classes. I think there's probably 8 or 10 different classes. Though the one nice thing with Final Fantasy 14 is you can do all the classes with a single character. You can just start and stop the different class quests as you want. So it's not like you have to redo the storyline every time.
Oh, okay, so you don't have to beat the game 8 times.
Yeah, it's just you just can do the class quests, which are their own separate thing anyway. So it is kind of nice in that sense where, you want to do a different run, you don't necessarily have to do the entire game, but doing the different classes do give you different options.
It's the one thing about that game that draws me to it. I can't do these games where it's like, oh, you have to do a completely new character and start all the way over and go through the whole entire game all again. I just don't have time for that type of stuff. I mean, I know other people really like doing that, but I don't. I have one character. That's what I have.
You've got an addiction to feed. You don't have time for that.
Yeah, the only game I actually want to do that in is Baldur's Gate 3, but that's because it's Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, and then when we're not doing that, we've just been catching up on a little stream show called Candela Obscura. It's I don't know how to explain it. It's like a post-war, like 1900s horror tabletop RPG that was created by the folks at Critical Role. And it's got a lot of like body horror stuff and dimensional monsters kind of stuff. It's actually been really cool. So we've been watching that and then just, living life, I guess. But what about you, Voss? What have you been doing?
Oh God. I'll keep this short and simple because I have been doing nothing. Just work, playing a little Sons of the Forest with Rue and Sammy and everybody, going through murdering
We're
all the
almost
cannibals.
done.
We're there. We're getting close.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming along. And then, I did get the super rare event. It was amazing. I saw my first Cybertruck in the wild the other day.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Holy!
Well, did the driver have all their fingers?
What?
I don't know.
couldn't tell.
They were old as fuck.
So you probably did.
I couldn't get past all the discolored different panels.
Yeah.
Oh, was it just a raw,
Yeah.
like they hadn't done a coating on it?
No, that's the
Well,
whole thing about it is
Yeah.
that the
Yeah,
panels
just-
will all rust at different levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they just
Yeah.
look like that.
Yeah. No,
And-
I've seen ones where people have done, like, they've done wraps on them and
Yeah, I forgot all about that.
Words
Yeah, we
cannot
saw it
describe
the other day.
how hideous that thing
They're
is in
so
person.
ugly.
It is next level ugly.
Oh, and the fingers thing is because apparently the big thing is that people were saying that the Cybertruck's trunk or whatever, the Cybertruck's trunk, it's got a sharp edge and it'll like cut off people's fingers, and the owners were like, no, it's not, you're stupid. So they would do these videos where they would let the trunk close on their fingers, expecting like some security feature to stop it, and it
Yeah.
didn't. And so people are like breaking their
Yeah.
fingers in the.
because they have an auto close feature and it's supposed to sense, like, if there's, something
Right. Well,
on
I
the
mean, it
edge
doesn't
to
always do
stop
that.
it from
right. Well,
closing.
it'll sense it, but if you leave it there and it tries it like 3 or 4 times, it just gives up and just like,
Yeah.
fuck it, I'm closing.
Brunch.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, I forgot about that. They are just as ugly in real life as you think.
Oh my goodness, Nuka. I didn't realize till now. This is how slow Rue's brain is today. That's what you were talking about with whether or not that he didn't have fingers.
Oh.
I was like, okay, I don't understand why he said that, but now I do. All right. Anyways.
So, speaking of crunching things, do you have a cookie?
I have a lovely cookie here today. So today's cookie is a friend will soon bring you a gift in bed with a cookie.
Is it a cookie?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
probably.
gonna say, wouldn't the cookie be the gift?
Maybe it would
More
be the gift.
cookies? It's just all
Ex-
cookies.
Extra cookies is always a good thing,
Do you remember that day when we were so young? Boom, 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 my heart was so dumb. Looking at the hearts it broke one by one. So soon, no one
God, the crumb. They're everywhere. Thanks, Rue.
You're
He
welcome.
just leaves them in a trail across everywhere all the time.
Some of these crumbs are like 5 years old.
Oh,
I'm just trying to make it sure
They're
that I can
seasoned.
get home again, okay? It's my GPS. It's how I get to places.
You're literally in your home right now.
Well, now I am, but I may need to find my way to my car because I follow different types of flavors of cookies to be able to get to where I need to go.
Oh, I
So,
see. That's how that works.
Yeah,
very complex system.
it is. It works though. Very organized chaos.
Speaking of organized chaos, let's talk about dealers' dens.
Good one.
Yay.
Yay!
So,
What?
yeah, what is a dealer's
So what the
den
hell is a dealer's den?
specifically?
For those who've never been to a convention.
So a dealer's den is a place that usually it's held at a convention. It doesn't need to be at a convention, but if it's a dealer's den, usually it's dealers or people that have products that they want to sell. And you get to go in and be able to purchase whatever item that they have for sale. It gives you an opportunity to, instead of like looking at a website, usually they have items there for you to purchase. Sometimes it's not that way. Sometimes it's to pre-order or to order something that's brand new or to do commissions. But it gives you an opportunity to be able to meet the artists that make our fandom amazing.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too, I think, is that, in an age where we're moving towards like digital shopping and stuff like that. There's something kind of cool about being able to say, oh, I've seen this artist online for years, but I get to meet them in person and buy something directly from them or commission something directly from them in person at a convention, which is pretty exciting, I think.
Well, when you go to a den, who are the people that sell? Like, so we're coming in as someone who wants to buy something. What kind of people can I expect to see there selling stuff?
Furries.
Right. So, furries.
I mean, hopefully, we would assume it's a fur con.
I mean, when I think about a dealer's den, the first thing I'm thinking is you walk in and almost immediately to one side of you, there's usually the convention store. So if you want to buy merchandise from the convention, that's there. So like T-shirts or janglies or whatnot. There's also usually that's where the con charity has something set up, like a table of some sort. So that sort of thing is there. And then beyond that, there's usually vendors selling everything from clothing and T-shirts to artists selling art, fursuiters. There's usually someone is doing some kind of leather or harnesses or some kind of like accessories for suits, or depending on the nature of the convention, sometimes there's adult toys there. There can be all manner of things. Plushies. There's usually someone's handling plushies at a good sized dealer's den.
Adult toys in my fandom? Oh, I never.
Basically, in a dealer's den, you can buy everything from stickers to fursuits.
Yeah, pretty much. And everything in between.
Yeah, whether you got 50 cents
Right.
or $3,000 to kill.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the awesome things is, like, especially as the fandom's gotten bigger, like, the dens themselves have gotten bigger in the conventions, and just the sheer variety of stuff that people can make now is insane. Because I remember, back in the day, or, Gray Muzzle coming out a little bit, it was basically like the dealer's den. You were like, art, art prints, maybe at con commissions and badges, sketchbook pages, things like that. Maybe like pins, like button pins and some stickers, the occasional fursuit maker with fursuit parts like paws and tails and
Those should be pretty rare
ears and
in dealer's dens.
Yeah, and occasionally you would find a fursuit head that looks exactly like your persona.
Like,
Yeah, and I feel like now it's just like any kind of
or a plushie that looks like exactly like your persona.
yeah. If now I feel like any kind of merchandise that you can get made like commercially, you can get made for customized for furries and stuff. Which it's so, I don't know. It's just really cool to see all the stuff that people make.
But also like weird, like oddly niche things. Like there's like oftentimes I'll see like a board game or a card game shop there. I'll sometimes see people like who've made like food based things. Like there's here's fudge and also some
Right.
Wiccan stuff. Here's just like really oddly specific niche things. I'm like, oh, that's not the thing I would have expected to find here, but
Well,
also that's
one
kind
thing
of
that's
cool.
interesting and unique about furry con dealers dens versus other vendor gatherings, I should say, I guess. Like you go to, like we went to a model train show here recently, and the problem with things like that is you have people that show up just to sell whatever they have, right? Whether it has to do with what the show is or not. They just show up to sell trinkets, and it's kind of frustrating because I didn't come here to find, miniature porcelain dolls. This is a train show, right?
At a train convention, yeah.
The thing about furry dealers' dens is generally it's all furry stuff, right? Everybody who makes the trinkets and and most of it is homemade stuff, right? People just making their own stuff. but it's all furry. It's not just somebody, finding a marketplace to start dumping odds and ends.
Yeah.
It's not like somebody has bought storage lockers and then are going to the flea market to sell the
People
stuff
treat
from
them
the
like a
storage
swap
locker.
meet.
Yeah.
And, furry cons. I guess it's unique because, to deal at a furry con, you still have to pay for an attend. You know what I mean? You have to attend the con overall. So that kind of weeds out the odds and ends. So that's one of the things I like most about furry con dealers' dens is it's all furry stuff. Even if it is super niche, it's generally something that somebody came up with.
Well, and Tim was mentioned. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so you're not gonna find like an Apple booth or
Yeah.
or like a Nike booth. I can't buy my Levi's at the FurCon.
You mean, are you talking about the Pride Festival?
Oh yeah, the corporate greed festival.
That's how it is at the Pride Festival. You go over there, and the dealers' dens or the area to go buy stuff. I know that they're working on changing that, but most of it's just corporate stuff, and it's
you
like
can sign up for cable.
Go buy a cell phone. Or
Yeah. I mean, these tend to be smaller, independent. I mean, one of the cool things about the furry fandom in general is that we're very decentralized. There's no like one central official hub. Like this is official furry merchandise and everything else. Everyone is a small independent content creator. Some are slightly bigger, small independent content creators, but it's this cottage industry. One thing I have heard suggested by some folks is that it'd be kind of cool to see like, so I guess we can talk about this a little bit later too if you want, but like sort of separating into like different types of dealers' dens, like a night market versus a day market. I don't know if you want to get into this now or if you want to.
Yeah, that's definitely something that happens. I mean, that's something that's happened for a long time, I think, because even as long as I remember, a lot of the times it used to be like dealer's den was more for merchandise, people who have made some kind of merchandise like shirts or pins and stickers and things like that, and then you would have an artist alley or an artist section where you would find the people who were doing the at convention badges and sketch pages and things like that. I feel like most cons, though, have kind of merged those into one now.
It depends on the convention you go to. At Furry Fiesta, there's still a very vibrant artist alley.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
I guess for those who don't know, I guess we should really quickly explain what the distinction is there. You sort of touched on it a bit.
To be honest with you guys, I still don't 100% know.
Right.
I'll be honest with you. They blurred the lines so much that I go in and I'm like,
it's all den.
So explain to me.
Yeah. So it's my understanding then that for the dealer's den, this is like, I would say the big vendors, but these are people who are typically a little bit bigger names. This is a person who is coming to the convention primarily to deal. They've got a van full of stuff to sell, and they've paid a bunch of money up front for a table. So like they're really here. This is an investment they've put into this, and they're going to sell stuff here. The dealers or the artist alley tends to be for people who either don't have as large of a business set up, or they're not necessarily looking to vend for the entire convention. They maybe don't have the initial income or the initial money to put up for a full table for the weekend kind of thing. So depending on how much space there is at the convention, there might be a lottery. I know at Furry Fiesta, there's a lottery where maybe they have 100 slots and maybe 200 people vying for these 100 slots. And every morning they draw names. And if your name gets drawn, you get a table. And it's only like $20 instead of like $250 or whatever a table costs at the con. And you get a table for the day. And this is just your table for the day. And so because you don't know if you're going to vend, maybe you don't have a whole bunch of merch with you. Maybe it's as simple as you just lay out a price sheet and say, hey, I'm doing badge commissions today, right? Or I've got a small little box of stickers and buttons that I'm selling here. Or I'm taking, commissions for a fursuit. But it's much smaller scale. Usually people who are just getting started, or people who have traveled and they really don't have the money to haul an entire shop worth of stuff across the country with them. But usually it's smaller scale stuff in the artist alleys.
Okay. No, that actually makes a lot of sense. Like, yeah, explaining it like that, and then thinking back, I'm like, oh no, yeah, that actually makes sense as to like the visual difference between the two. Like when you're working,
because yeah, you'll
walking
see
into the
you'll see
space.
in a dealer's den, yeah, you'll see like very very formal setup. Like this person clearly does this for a living.
Mhm.
Whereas in the artist alley, it's like, oh, I threw up a couple of signs and I don't have
Yeah.
something super
Yeah,
elaborate.
they've got maybe minimal like tabletop, price sheet, couple other things.
And oftentimes it's because it's their first convention
Yeah.
trying to vent,
Yeah.
so they're kind of getting their feet wet.
And then you've got the big dens who have like banners, or they have a booth and they've got, they've built walls of merchandise.
They've
all
done this
around.
before.
Yeah. They're the one that you go out in the parking lot and you're like, damn, that truck has a big ass trailer on it. And then that's probably somebody in the dealer's den with a bunch of stuff they're trying to sell.
Yeah, they're hauling $10,000 worth of merchandise across the country because this is the first. They've got 5 cons on this tour, right? They're doing this as a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take the will for a second and drive us off a cliff.
Yay!
And I'm gonna start with this. So I'm a brand new furry. I have this artist that I have been waiting to commission, and she's like, I have 5 slots that's available that I'm gonna do at con, and I really want to be able to get in with this person. What are some advice or some tips? Because
Super sponsor.
yeah,
So
Super sponsor.
that is something I actually want to break down more in the next section, in the second half. Because that was more for like being a customer. But we can definitely get into that in detail in the next half. Or I guess if we want, we can talk about it now.
But I want to make one more distinction before we do that, since we're still talking about what is a dealer's den. Night market. Some folks might not know what a night market is. Night market is the after hour. So depending on the rules of the particular convention you're at, they may have rules about what you can display or sell at your table. So if you're at a convention that's very G-rated, you're primarily an adult artist, you might not be able to display most of your wares. You may be allowed to have like a book with like a 18 plus sticker on the front. But beyond that, you might not be able to show off your wares. So at a night market, typically what happens is that's for the vendors who have, adult art that they want to display, or if you sell sex toys, right? That's where you get to display that. So depending on what convention you go to, sometimes they'll have just a separate night market. I know at Eurofurence, for example, the quote unquote night market is just always there all hours in the same way that the dealer's den is. At other times, like at Further Confusion, the night market is just there for one night only. So it depends on the convention you're at. But yeah, that's typically where you go for, vendors who predominantly sell that sort of thing. That's where they will typically set up.
Yeah. I haven't done any cons that have done a night market thing.
Yeah,
you
BLFC
have.
No, I
does it.
haven't. All I've
They call it a night
well,
market.
BLFC.
but
That's
a night market's basically just a
it's just
separate
the adult
section.
section. Yeah, BLFC's not always. Within the first couple of years, they've pretty much done an adult section where they have, people selling toys and gear. and
usually
leather.
that's what they
Right.
call
And
the
things
night
like
market,
that.
though.
Well, it
But,
actually depends.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I've
Sorry, go
seen
ahead.
night markets, and this is just from what I've been seeing.
Yeah.
From what I've been seeing a lot of the times is the night market is more of an event in and of itself.
Yeah.
Where they will have some people there dealing and selling things, but it's also a place for people who want to dress up in gear and
Yeah.
have their rubber, wear their leather, wear their naughty or fursuits.
Yeah.
The more risque things. It seems like it's more of an event with a in a party kind of thing that's run by the convention.
Yeah, so when it tends to be
I just feel like there's a difference between just having an adult section in a dealer's den and the quote-unquote night market. But again, this is just from what I've been seeing, because I haven't actually seen a difference.
Yeah. No, I think you're right, because at Further Confusion and at Fernal Equinox, that's the case for both of them. For both of them, they only have it one night, and it's an event. You have to go get carded. Typically, it's a big, long lineup. And yeah, like people will show up with their gear on, their harnesses, their whatever. And yeah, the expectation is that you can wear your harness while you walk around and look at adult themed stuff, right? And it's very, very open. Everyone knows everyone there is 18 plus, so it's allowed to get a little more riled up and wild and wacky in there. Other conventions, it'll just be like a curtained off area, right? So that's why I'd be hesitant to necessarily call that a night market, but it's got the same vibes, just not the party, everyone dressed in all your kink gear, kind of vibe to it.
And that's what I've seen is there's a difference when it's just an adult section attached to the dealer's den versus the actual event.
But to be fair, it all depends. Like, to be honest with you, we can't actually make a definition of what it is, because each convention is going to define and do things differently between each one. So BLFC might call it a night market, but they have it as just an adult section. I understand that we're trying to make a distinction between the two, but when it comes down to the convention, it's going to be up to the convention themselves on how they actually define what those terms actually are. So going in and expecting, like, I just don't want any listeners to all of a sudden see, oh, it says night market that's on it, I'm going to get my kink gear on.
Yeah.
You probably better look into things a little bit just to make sure that that's what actually that the convention is defining.
Yeah.
So,
well, and that would fall under, I mean, one thing you want to do is, well, check those things beforehand, because most conventions will have a, what am I trying to
schedule.
say?
They'll have not terms of service.
Yeah, well, they'll have in their con book, con information, they'll have
conduct policies.
Yeah,
like
the conduct policy, the requirements if they have an adult section, what they have to do. Because most places are like, you gotta check your ID before you go in there, and you could go in there 10 times in a day, and they'll check you every time you go in there.
Yeah. Oh, another thing I guess to keep in mind for people who've never been to a con before, the dealer's den is typically usually the only place where commerce is permitted. And what I mean by this is, if you decide, well, I'm not going to spend all the money to go get a table at the dealer's den, that's for chums. I'm just going to go to like the zoo or an open area and just like set up and start selling stuff. That's typically a no-no. That's typically the kind of thing that gets you in trouble with the con. So they want to sort of be able to control who's selling what where, not just because they're control freaks or things like that, but also because of like tax purposes, right? Every state has slightly different tax laws and stuff, and the convention, there are rules about like conventions have to manage things like collecting taxes from vendors and stuff like that. There's a whole infrastructure behind that. So there's a reason why if you're going to vend at a con, you typically have to do it at a dealer's den and not just like setting up a shingle somewhere in the middle of convention space. So
that brings up a really good point, because if I remember correctly, I have heard and seen some things in the past that's happened at conventions where all of a sudden somebody will just be like, they'll just sit down at one of the artist alley tables and plop their fursuit on there and put, a price tag on it, and then people exchange money and then they just leave. And you can't do that. Yeah. Because you have to pay taxes on all that stuff. So if you want to sell your fursuit, you can sell your fursuit somewhere else, not at a convention. I mean, if you're, granted, if you had somebody that was going to pick it up from you, like at your hotel room, that's a different situation, because your hotel room is your hotel room, right? But going to the dealer's den and even walking around with your fursuit with a sign, first sell for such and such dollars, you can't do that.
Also, it gives the convention control over who's there, right? Like as a really ridiculous example, right? If I start setting up guns in the middle of a table, I'm selling guns here, right? Most conventions would be like, we'd rather not have someone selling that. So the dealer's den is there so they can have some kind of control and say, oh, this person is a scam artist. We don't want them selling. Oh, this person is selling illegal goods. We don't want that being sold at our convention. It gives them some modicum of control over what's happening at the convention. And that way, if someone is scamming someone while selling at a convention, they can say, okay, well, they were at this table. We know who they are. We can contact them. We can take, whereas if it's John Doe is selling something at a table in the middle of nowhere, there's no repercussions. Like there's no way to sort of track what's happening, what's being sold. So it's to sort of cut down on sketchy stuff.
Hey, I'm going to interrupt for a second. I know that Mr. Click here, he's been a con chair before. And, I've worked a little for myself. I mean, I've worked underneath, helping to set up a dealer's den for a period of time. What experience do you remember, Click, when you were a con chair with the dealer's den?
I don't know. I let my dealer's den guy take care of it all.
I mean, isn't that the point of having a dealer's den, guy? Is to say,
pretty much,
do the thing?
Delegation. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, there's actually a really good point in that, which is that dealers' dens are incredibly complex. Like they are massively complex. When you think about take a convention like Anthrocon, for example, or MFF, literally, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars worth of commerce are happening there in one weekend. Coordinating that is got to be just a nightmare. So yeah, it's not. There's a lot to it, which is again why you can't just sort of show up and start selling stuff there, right? There's a lot of organization that goes into
right. Yeah, it's not just
it.
it's not something you just throw together. There's a lot of planning behind it all.
I think what people don't see is when planning a huge convention, it is an all-year event, usually. As soon as the convention stops, they're planning the next one.
It never really stops. All right. Well, I think with that, we're going to throw to break real quick. We're going to go have a little cookie snack, and we'll be back with the second half of the show.
Oh, hey, Fluffy Bluetail69. What's up, dude? Haven't seen you in a while. Hey, did you see that they just got the... Not now! I love Foxy Butts! They just opened the line for the After Dark market, and I've got to know what's inside! Why must they hide these secrets that can only be seen after dark? Why not in the light? I don't think that's what you... I don't care! I leave! And I must see for what it's worth.
It's like there's blood everywhere, and it's just like coming out in spurts. And I'm like, it's not supposed to be coming from there. And oh shit, are we recording? Oh
no, yeah, it's fine. Don't,
right.
Just finish the story. Just finish it.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is, be careful what you put in there. That's all I'm saying. Okay, so we're back. Hi.
Hi.
And we're talking about dealers' dens. And Rue, early you had asked, or you had started to talk about, sort of, I guess it would fall maybe under like the dealer's den etiquette, or how to behave in a dealer's den, or it's your first time in a dealer's den. What do you do? This might be a good spot to talk about that. The how do you behave in a dealer's den?
Well, I think, first of all, if you run into your favorite artist, don't freak out and take take a bag and breathe in it,
or ask them to breathe in it so you can sell their air.
Oh my goodness, you're so and so. Which, you know what, I get it.
Didn't someone do that to you? I'm just kidding.
But I get it. We're excited. People are excited. Maybe it's your first time at a con. You're excited to be able to meet some of these people. You know, they're human. So treat them with respect and, just, talk to them. And they do like hearing things like, I really appreciate your work. I love your work. Different things like that. I think that's great. But just make sure that you don't go too crazy, especially if the dealer's den just opened. Like, if the dealer's den just opened, that's not the time to have your 5-minute talk with your favorite artists. It's the get in and get out type situation. So know your timing as well. Go ahead.
We should talk about this actually, because I think, again, for people who've never been to a convention, they might not know. The dealer's den isn't typically open as people are doing on the Thursday. If you arrive on the Thursday night and they're dealing registration and stuff like that, that's not typically when the dealer's den is open. Typically, the dealer's den doesn't open until usually middle of the day, noon or whatever, on the Friday, like the second day of the convention. And there's usually a lineup for it. So the opening of the dealer's den is usually right up there with opening ceremonies in terms of people line up for it. This is usually one of the bigger lines of the entire convention. And then when those doors open, there is a throng of people rushing because, your favorite artist might have a limited number of commission slots like you'd suggested. And so for a lot of people, they get in that line and they'll line up for hours so that as soon as the door opens, they're beelining for their favorite artist. Now, you would ask the question, if you want to guarantee that your favorite artist, that you're there to get in line, one trick to this for newcomers might be to invest a little more money in a sponsor or a super sponsor, because some conventions, as a perk for being a super sponsor, will say, hey, all those silly people waiting in line to get in? Well, all the super sponsors get to go in a half an hour early, right? And so if that's something really important to you, it might be worth the extra $50 or whatever for the super sponsor to be able to get that extra half an hour of shopping time before there's a deluge of people rushing in.
That's definitely a good point. Yeah. I highly recommend.
Or get really good at hand-to-hand combat.
Honestly, it feels like that sometimes. Like sometimes it's you gotta beat people out of the way.
It turns into sometimes it turns into a Black Friday sale sometimes.
The Black Friday, I was just gonna say, yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's a very good analogy. That's exactly what it turns into.
Okay, so here, as a person who has literally never waited in line for the dealer's den, I never do it. I hate being in that crowd. I don't want to be in that crowd of people. My strategy is always, I never go to the dealer's den on the first day. I just don't. And my reasoning is okay, you say, well, okay, Nuka, now your favorite artists are all full, right? What are you going to do? You can't commission from them. I get so much delight out of going to either the artist alley or going to artists that I typically wouldn't go. I have no idea who this person is, right? And going to there. So rather than going to the artists that everyone's going to try to get a commission, I have found so many amazing artists and gotten so many awesome commissions from people who, just because they weren't immediately flooded with people, they still have some commission slots. And I'm always tickled. I'm delighted with the art I get from them. So I guess my suggestion might be, don't despair if you don't get that commission from your favorite artist. Look around. You might be surprised by some up-and-coming artist you've never heard of before. As a testament to this fact, I always like to tell people, sitting in my my room, I have a pencil drawing, an original pencil drawing from Miles DF. I paid $50 for it. If you know anything, this is like 12 years ago, 30 years ago. If you know anything about Miles DF, you can't get a piece for less than $2,000 today. But again, it's just because it was not super well known at the time, right? So something to keep in mind. You never know who some smaller artists, may end up being a someone who 5 years from now is super well known. So don't necessarily feel like you have to be in that initial rush of people, or you're vending for the weekend, or you're buying for the weekend is ruined.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I've only done that maybe once that I was like, I gotta go in and get the thing, whether I don't even remember what it was for. Typically my strategy for the dealer's den is I will wait till, after the initial rush.
Give it an hour to.
A couple hours for it to kind of mellow out. Unless I have gotten sponsor or super sponsor or whatever, then, I'll take that like extra half hour because then there's like nobody in there and it's amazing and it's nice and quiet. And I like to do a couple laps around the room first.
Oh, yes. Talk about that. This is an amateur mistake that a lot of first timers make.
Yeah. That you just go in and you're like, the first thing, you're like, yeah, this is awesome. Maybe spend a little more than you were expecting. I don't know. And then you go to the other corner and you're like, oh my God, what have I done?
You blow your wad in the first row and there's still 10 more rows to go.
Yeah.
I think it's important to know your budget before you go.
Yes.
I mean, yes, it is 100%. Make sure that you know your budget and have it in mind. But at the same exact time, you could be like Click and have your budget just be shattered when you walk into a dealer's den seeing your actual fursuit head on there for sale.
Seeing your face staring back at you.
And then all of a sudden you just drop a bunch of money because you're like, well,
that's what credit cards are for.
Well, speaking of credit, they made it a lot harder to be careful because it used to be, and I'm going to sound like an old fart here, even 10 years ago, right? It was a really easy way to budget would be just bring to the den what you plan to spend, right? If I have a $200 budget, I bring $200 and that's it. Nowadays, everyone has Square, everyone has digital payments at their table. It's a lot harder to budget. You have to be that much more careful about budgeting.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, okay, go in the den. And the first time I go in the den, sometimes second time I go in the den, I don't go in fursuit. I don't go in I just go normal dress because I'm typically there to take a look at everything. I'm typically there to scope out the area and see if there's anything that I want to buy. And then I tend, unless there's something I really, really want, I tend to wait a little bit because I am the worst at letting myself buy things.
If you wait till Sunday, sometimes vendors are trying to get rid of stuff. Like, oh, I don't want to take this home with me.
Yeah. But if you wait till Sunday,
it might be gone.
It's
you
gone.
might not have they might not have the thing.
This is the game we play.
Wanted.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. It's it's kind of your own mind game of how you like to, torture yourself in the dealer's den.
Okay, I'm going to drop a hot take here. And Sammy, the room might argue too. I'm gonna drop a hot take here. Feel free to disagree. Don't fursuit in the dealer's den. I said it.
I disagree.
Here we go. Everyone's gonna disagree with me. Here's my reasoning. So dealer's dens are often, not always, depends on what con you're at. Often they're quite crowded, especially when there's a smaller con and they're trying to cram a bunch of tables in there. It's already kind of cramped to begin with, and nothing is more frustrating than when you're in a fursuit, you're a magnet for attention. Nothing's more frustrating than when you're trying to get through a row to get to the table that you want to get to, and there's some fursuiter and 5 people are trying to take pictures with the fursuiter, and they're standing there, being an attention magnet because that's what fursuits are, in the middle of this aisle when you're trying to get to a particular table.
Right, but that falls on the suitor. I disagree with. Don't suit in the den because it is a lot of fun. However, if you're going to, you have to be smart about it.
Yeah, don't be that guy.
Right. You have to be conscious of what the hell's going on around you. So yeah, if you're in a cramped little alleyway and you can barely squeeze by without touching butts, then, if a bunch of people want pictures, take them out to the end of the row where there's a little more room.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I would say, I also disagree. I like going into the dealer's den in fursuit. It's fun. But I definitely would not recommend fursuiting at the Black Friday sale, where it's like they open up the dealer's den, and then you're there in suit bobbing around like, people are there to buy stuff and like get the F out of the way. Sorry. I'm sorry, I gotta say that.
Yeah.
Well, one thing to bring up for us here specifically is we've been spoiled by BLFC. Because BLFC turns their dealer's den into a fursuit gathering place. Their dealer's den is huge, and the dealers are typically around the outer edge. And the middle of the room is usually set up with fursuit props and stuff to play
that's
with,
a very different circumstance than the cons.
Right,
too. Yeah.
right. So that's what I'm saying is we've been spoiled by the fact that they actually cater to that. But on the flip side, yes, I've been to cons where the aisles are literally 3 feet, right? That's enough for one person to stand against this table, one person to stand against that table, and if somebody has a backpack, you're screwed.
Well, and here's something else to say, Nuka. So the dealers' den, individuals, the vendors themselves, sometimes the only thing that they see is within the walls of the dealer's den. And so for them, I have heard, because I have suited in the dealer's den, and most of the time when I go through and interact with the dealers, they absolutely adore it and they love it. So I think it's just knowing the right timing and the audience. If you enter in and it's like chuck full, maybe go find a different room to go fursuit in. But if it's like completely empty and the dealers people are looking at their phone, like,
so like a Sunday, a Saturday afternoon, sure, right? It's the big throng of people is died down a little bit. They're kind of getting into a rhythm. Sure, I'll soften my position. I guess maybe I won't say no fursuiting, but a couple things. So don't do it at rush time. Be mindful, right, of your dexterity, right? So nothing's more frustrating, I think, if you're at a table than a fursuiter who comes up and wrecks your shit. I run a table at some conventions, and I don't even do art, right? I just have our first science table, so we've got like a couple of props on the table, we got cards and stuff, and some fursuiter comes over and thinks they're hilarious, and like they pick up our bowl of candy and then drop it. And now I'm picking lifesavers up off the ground, and I'm like, that's just a plastic bowl full of candy, right? But if this is if the artist is selling merchandise, right, and some clumsy fursuiter is thinking they're funny and they're damaging merchandise or they knock something off the table, like, don't be that guy. Or if you're fursuiting, right, you're there to fursuit and be goofy, and you decide I really want to buy this thing. I can imagine nothing's more frustrating as a vendor, right? You're trying to do business here, and like some person comes up and they're muffled and they're, well, can I please order? What? Yeah, I'd like to order. It's like, okay, you wouldn't go to a fast food restaurant and pull that shit. This is their business. This is their livelihood. I guess just be mindful as a suitor and don't be an irritant in a crowded dealer's den, I guess.
I mean, ultimately, it just, for everybody on, the buying side of the table, it's just practice some common courtesy. Don't
in or out of a fursuit. Yeah.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Everybody.
Yeah.
If you're there to purchase, you're there to patronize. Not patronize. You know what I mean?
No, patronize is the right word. You're buying from them. Yeah, that's the right word.
Yeah.
Don't patronize
from these people. Yeah, don't patronize the
no,
vendors.
Please patronize the vendors.
Some people like,
but it's just to be courteous because the rooms can get real crazy.
Mm-hmm.
They can get loud. They can get busy. Everybody's having conversations. There's just a lot going on, and sometimes it's hard to realize, other people are trying to do the same as you, and just, get in. They want to buy whatever it is that they want to buy and move on. The hardest thing is just sometimes being aware of that. And when you're in a fursuit, it makes it that much harder.
Yeah.
So it's just keep an eye out. I know it's a lot and it's exciting, but they all want to have a good time, and the vendors also want to make sure that they can have a decent time and aren't trying to fight with trying to make sales because the group of 6 people are just standing there talking, not doing anything.
Here. Let us role play. I love role playing.
No.
It's so much fun.
Oh, no.
So here's Rue. He's walking down through the dealer's den, and he looks at somebody's table, and he turns and says, "Oh my goodness, that's the most ugliest piece of art that I've ever seen."
I would smack you in the face.
Is that appropriate? Okay,
No.
so let's
That's-
rewind. What could have Rue said instead? Maybe like,
You could
Literally
have said
nothing.
okay,
Nothing.
good. Just
Right.
walk on by. If you don't like something, because art, when it comes down to it, art is just, you know, art is art. And it, just because you don't like the art doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't like the art.
Well, and like one thing to remember is that these are small independent content creators, right? So if I walk into a McDonald's and I'm like, oh God, I fucking hate the milkshakes here, right? The person behind the counter isn't going to be offended, right? Because they're just working for a corporation, right? But if you and we sometimes forget that, right? But if you go up to like a vendor stall at a dealer stand, you're like, oh God, I hate people who do stickers, or I hate standees or whatever, right? You're saying that with an earshot of a person for whom this is their life. They put their heart and soul into their business, and you're shit talking them.
Okay.
So like, yeah, remember, there's a person, and this is their livelihood you're talking about. there.
All right. Here we go. So Rue's walking into the dealer's den, going down, and he sees one thing at one table, and then he goes down to the other end and sees something else, and then he points out, that table over there is selling it for much cheaper than you.
You know what you do then? You shut up and you go buy it from that other table. And you don't tell people how to run their businesses, right? It's insulting. They're selling it for the price that makes the most sense to them, right? If you think you can get a great deal, or if you think something isn't worth the money that's being charged, well then you're under no obligation to buy, right? But you don't have to share that information with the person behind the table, right? They're probably going to be insulted that you think that their product isn't worth what they're selling it for.
Nuka, can I get a discount? I'm your friend.
Right. So I don't know if Sam wants to jump into. I'm happy to keep answering these, but I don't know.
No, this is great.
Okay,
I'm loving this.
Okay, so I get a discount. So right. So in general, you would. This is not necessarily the place to haggle, right? That said, it depends. Some people are more okay with this. As a general rule for tact and stuff, probably not the place to go and do some haggling at a convention, right? They have a set price list. They're probably, unless they're the one making the offer, like, oh, you're buying 2 stickers, like, hey, if you buy a 3rd sticker, I'll let you have it for $1 off or whatever, right? Unless they're the one that starts introducing that sort of thing, you probably shouldn't be doing it. And if this person is your friend, if you happen to actually legitimately know this person, right, it's kind of not a great thing to do that sort of thing, to strong arm your friends and say, well, hey, since you're my friend, you should do all these services for me for free, right? That's not, you have to separate the person's professional career from your friendship, right? That shouldn't be part of why you're friends. and what's worse is doing that when you're not actually this person's friend. Oh, I'm always in your streams, so I've created a parasocial relationship with you, so I think that we're friends, when in actuality, you don't actually know who I am outside of seeing me in your stream or something.
So, I actually kind of disagree a little bit. Now, hear me out. Okay. At the dealer's den, there are sometimes that there are very large ticket items that are there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not just talking about a sticker. We're talking about like a
A
full-blown
large ticket
fursuit.
sticker.
Like a
type
fursuit,
thing.
yeah.
That maybe they're charging like $5,000 for, or something like that. I'm not necessarily saying like, can you go lower or haggling, but I think it's good to have a conversation about some of those large ticket items. And, you know, maybe if you see that fursuit that's been there and it hasn't sold throughout the con, the dealer might be interested in taking a little bit of a lower offer, you know, for a large ticket item. You can go in and say, hey, you know, I was just wondering, like, I've seen this here. Would you be interested in selling this for a little bit cheaper? I don't know that. I don't see that there's a problem with that, because all they could do is just say no. And if that's the case, then just, you know, you drop the situation or drop the conversation entirely. I don't think that it's necessarily rude.
But the point is a fair one. I do think it's more acceptable. It's a little more okay, like with big ticket items, or if you're buying in bulk, for example. I know that there have been some artists. There are some artists that I really like where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna buy like 10 of these prints, right? Is there like, do you have a discount if I buy in bulk? That kind of thing. Like, oh, if I buy 10 prints, can I get like a special price or whatever? Maybe. But yeah, I wouldn't go up to like, you know, for like a $10 little trinket at their table and say, hey, can I get this for $5? That would probably
And I think a lot of vendors will have some kind of, you know, especially those
3 for $15 or something.
Yeah, things like that. You know, buy 2 shirts, get 1 for $10, or buy 4 stickers, get a 5th free kind of thing.
Mhm.
Most have some kind of thing going on, and as we said before, sometimes when it gets to being, you know, Sunday or whatever the last day of the con is, sometimes they will say, you know, 25% off if it is a big suit or a large item that they're going, I don't want to have to haul this all the way back home kind of thing. So you never know, and it doesn't hurt to go back and check. I mean, if it's one of those things that maybe you're on the fence on and you're kind of like, I don't know, I want to, but I don't know. Sometimes it doesn't hurt to go back and check. But again, it's got to be, if you have that conversation, it's just got to be respectful.
Yeah, tactful about it, yeah.
If they say, no, I'm not doing that, then that's it. You don't continue asking and harassing them about that. Because as we said, this is, a lot of the times, this is their livelihood. This is how they're making ends meet. And just like the rest of us, they have bills to pay and things they have to make sure that they can cover. And it's just happens to so be that they're making their ends meet through furry, which is, I think, pretty fucking awesome.
Brew, I've got a role play for you. You be the artist, right? So you're doing your artist thing, right?
Yep.
And I am a customer who comes up. I'm like, hey, I'm a huge fan of your art. I absolutely love your art. I've been watching you for years. And oh, the person behind me, excuse me, I'm talking to the artist here. Yeah, I know you want to buy something, but so I've been a huge fan of yours for like 10 years, and I love your style. Yeah, I know you're trying to get in line to buy something. I'm talking to the artist right now, please. Right. Anyway, so yeah, I'm a huge fan of yours, and so I think you see where I'm going with this.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely want to make sure that, you know, it goes back to suiting. You need to know timing. Rushing in and wanting to talk to your favorite artist when it's super busy may not be the best time. The convention does go for 3 days. So, or, you know, however long that con goes for, but you're going to have another time that you can potentially see that artist. So go there when it's a slow time itself. You know, so.
Yeah, just be sort of courteous of like, you know, the one time this comes up quite a bit for me is when there's they have like little portfolios or books of prints on their table, right? And someone's like trying to talk to the artist, and I'm trying to get by and just look through the portfolio, right? Be mindful if you see a crowd starting to form behind you, buy something or at very least slide out of the way and
shift to the side.
Yeah, you can keep talking to the artist, but yeah, definitely get out of the way at very least.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up a topic
Uh-oh.
that I think you're all gonna probably agree on.
It's spicy. Here it comes.
How do you feel about people who play music
Oh!
their Bluetooth speakers
Oh!
in the middle of the dealer's den / convention.
Honestly, those people, I think that they should be banned from the con. That's how
spicy.
that's how spicy I am about it. I just, you go into different places. I think that it would be great, even in the dealer's den, that there should be like no amplified sound.
Yeah.
It's annoying. It's not. I don't really care. But at the same exact time, you're also coming across with a fursuiter that has a squeaker. So to other people, that can be annoying too. So one thing that's annoying to somebody is not
Right,
annoying to
well,
somebody else, and I understand.
You can't throw squeakers into that same category though, because
Can we?
yeah, it's a different. It's
I'm kidding.
no, because it's not the same. It is annoying. Don't get me wrong. I think squeakers should be swallowed. But
You love me. You love me.
yeah, walking around with your music playing it's just atrocious, right? Not everybody wants to listen to what you listen to. And even if it is something that I like, I don't want to listen to it while I'm trying to buy art.
Well, that's a really good point.
Yep.
A dealer's den is a crowded place, and commerce is trying to happen. People are trying to talk and ask questions, and I can imagine nothing is
Right.
more frustrating than I'm trying to listen to a customer answer a question, and I can't hear shit because there's 4 different people in the dealer's den within, earshot of me blasting different songs.
Right.
Yeah, I know I have heard some conventions have come out and flat out said no amplified sound, no speakers in like the dealer's den specifically or main
Common
convention
areas, yeah.
areas. Yes, so like your game rooms and stages, things like that, panel rooms, unless it's for the panel, obviously. They're specific on the room that it can or can't happen in. And I think that is something that it should be adopted at least for dealers' dens and spaces where actual convention events are happening.
Ooh.
I mean, walking down the hall, it's a little more difficult, I think, to say, but for me, I find one of the largest, annoyances in being in a dealer's den is when you have someone playing their whatever music out of a speaker. And again, trying to have a conversation and say, get art or buy something. It does make it very difficult, and it's not very courteous to anyone else in the room to have to try and drown out your music or whatever you're playing.
I thought of one more.
Okay.
All right. I go to the table. There's this artist that I absolutely love because they draw specialty art. They draw my particular kink, right? And my particular kink is, I don't know, gaping anuses. I'm super
What?
gaping goatsy style. That's my
Wow.
thing. And I go to this artist. I'm like, oh my god, they have a giant 18-inch print of this. I'm absolutely gonna buy it. So I buy it, and I'm just carrying that bad boy around the dealer's den with me out in the open. So what do we think?
Well, first off, insight into Nuka.
This is a hypothetical. This is gonna. Why did I? This is gonna come back and bite me.
Please clip that.
God damn it!
But no, you're exactly right.
Jesus.
If you're gonna buy that kind of stuff, yeah, have a folder or buy 2 and put them face to face.
Make them
Bring
kiss.
Bring
Right.
a poster tube. Put it. Go up to your room and put it in your room. Yeah.
I have a piece of advice with that. You can usually talk to the dealer and say to the dealer, hey, do you have something that can help me with being able to get this back
Yeah.
to my room?
Right.
Most
And
dealers.
usually,
yeah.
if there's something that's sensitive like that, they will understand and they'll be your friend in helping you. I'm not saying that they'll walk to your room with you. They're not going to do that, but they're going to help you to try to find a way or find something that will help cover it or something so you can get
Right.
it back.
Well, a lot of them
because
will
they're-
actually have a manila folder.
They know
or
exactly.
something
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
can put it in for you.
Yeah.
I just can't get this image out of my head now of just Nuka walking
Jesus.
around a convention with this.
The giant
Ridiculous
canvas
piece of
art
art.
painted.
Yeah.
Goat seed.
Uh,
Oh, jeez.
Well, I guess with that image now planted in all of our heads, we'll go to our final break and we'll come back with final thoughts on the mailbag.
I have so many regrets.
All right, let's wrap it up, folks. We need to make sure all dealers have cleared the area. Anthallo, we really need you to hurry up, bud. Hurry up. Put away all of those other, put away your stuff there. Sly Sugar Cat. We love the wonderful warm fuzzy sweaters you made this year, but we got to start packing these up, boys. Dokos, can you help Marcosius, the auto dealer, the Goetic Demon? Just help him fix it out, would you? Geekware, love to have you back again. Thank you so much, Geekware. Nuka, hey bud, how's it going? You doing all right? Need anything? All right, good. Xenon Dragon, wow, excellent sales this year. Good job, buddy, good job. Adler Salthier, or Adiller, or Sulthier? No, not really like that. Okay, well, sorry to disturb you. Mr. Andrew Rabbit, nice to see you again. Welcome back. We'd love to have you. Big Bear Luno, glad you can partner up this time and make some really cool things for us. Black Baldrik, I love what you did with the place. Absolutely stunning banners. Absolutely stunning. Jonas Frax, buddy, what's going on? Lufis, who keeps letting this raccoon in here? Lufis the raccoon, go. Come on. The dealership's been closed for a while. Oaken, what's going on, bud? Zane Cat Eye, love what you did with the glasses. Aster, we love our astrology themes here. Guardian Lion, we appreciate you always holding down the fort at the front door. Harlan Fox, yeah, I'm surprised you are still trying to get the Harlem Shake to catch on again. You know what, Hugs, you're doing good. Hugs and Bites, we love your intricately spicy candies. Really cool idea. Tenax Raccoon, hey buddy, how goes the disposable D&D campaign again? You still doing good? All right. Okay, I don't have time to listen to the whole tangent. Sorry, bud. Catchy. What's up, Catchy? What's going on? What's good? And Koru, nice to see you again. MephistophEli, I'm so sorry. Eli. Eli, yes, welcome. Plug. We need you to plug and play yourself out of here. Am I right? Ausi K, what are you doing under the tables? Come on, get, go on, get. Oh, my God. Am I even being heard? Am I even Ben Hearn? Oh, sorry. I meant to say Ben Heard. Sorry, Ben Hearn. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call attention for you. Booga Wonderland. Right? Yeah. No, you don't like that song? Oh, okay. I'm so sorry about that. Cactus Bat. Love what you did with the plush bats. They're super cute. And there was an actual physical wooden bat. Wow. That seems violent, but that's fine. Chaphogriff, what do we got here? Yes, that sounds good. David Inen. David Inen, or is David intending to head out, right? Because we need to wrap up, buds. Come on. Dealer's Den's closing, guys. Dealer's Den's closing. Luker, Lygris, what are you two still doing here? Come on. You've been staring at that same print of the Death Wolf for too long. Come on, buddies, let's go. Ryan Block, good to see you again. Intricate designs as always. Snares and tears and the Tamari Bobas. I'm surprised he even let a boba place in here, That's it's kind of a nice twist. We love it. Let's see it. August Otter. Hey, where's a September Otter and October Otter? Woo. No? Okay, I'll just... Christian, lovely to see you. Hachi Shiburu and Ichigo Ookami, welcome. We love to have a nice variety here in the back end with your unique pieces from Japan. Very good, we love it. moving on. Jake Fox, Kit, what's going on, Kit? Meng, and Meng, and Meng. Oh my goodness, there's 3 of you now? Meng times 3, huh? Meng x3. Who would have thought? Huh, you guys are killing it with this table. Roliga, hey, rolling it out, I see. I love how you do that. Tire 52, excellent, wonderful year. And Victor Mutt, as a fellow Mutt, high five. You're one of the greats, man. Absolutely one of the greats.
All right, everybody, we have reached the end of our episode today. We are going to, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for all of our lovely patrons for burning my ears today. We appreciate you. So, let's go to the final thoughts.
Yes,
So,
we do.
I want to start out with Voss. Voss, do you have any thoughts towards this
No.
episode?
No, none at all.
Okay.
Voss,
move
do you have
on now.
thoughts?
Click, what do you think?
I don't know. Nuka has scarred me. It's gonna take me a couple days to get over this.
What have I done? I derailed a perfectly good episode. We had a good episode, and I ruined it.
Yeah.
Guts.
No,
Yeah,
final
we just
thoughts.
gotta dig ourselves out of that
You
hole.
know, just be mindful. If you're in a very crowded room with people trying to conduct business, act appropriately.
Sammy?
My final thoughts would be dealer's dens are awesome. I think they are, for me, they're a great highlight of any convention. I love going to them. I love seeing the stuff people make. I love seeing just the overall creativity of people because they do things I could never think of. But ultimately, just be courteous to the vendors, to the other patrons, to those that are running the den. It takes a lot of work on the con and the vendors to put everything together and to bring us all of this. And yeah, I mean, just go and enjoy it and find some really cool furry stuff.
Nuka.
Hello, yes. Final thoughts on dealer dens. I suppose I would say, keep in mind that it's a place of commerce, right? And I sound like I'm beating a dead horse here, but they're there to make money. Dealers are there to make money. This is how they make their livelihood. So just treat it with that degree of seriousness, right? Talk to the artist, that's perfectly fine. Have a good time there, but don't do anything that would adversely affect the livelihood of an artist, right? So don't get in the way of people trying to spend money at their stand. Don't shit talk their stand. Just be courteous, the same you would be courteous in like a mon posh store in your town, right? It's a livelihood. Don't make life difficult for them. And Rue.
Just go early. If you have something specifically that you want to have, go in with a game plan. Know where the dealer that you want to go see is located. Look at the map and know exactly where that person is. And if you have something that you know that they're going to have that's going to sell out immediately, then, beeline to that particular table and don't get distracted by other trinkets that you see along the way. And then, go through and pick up some things. Just probably, do a couple walkarounds before you decide to blow your whole entire budget. I think that it's good for you to go in with a budget and have an idea of, okay, this is how much that I can spend. Because let me tell you, if you don't do that, you will overspend and you'll regret it later. So that's my advice.
Take it from me. I'm a person who understands regrets.
Regrets.
No regrets. Well, I think we've got something in the mailbag, Roo.
What? We
Holy
have something in
crap.
the mailbag.
Mm-hmm. I know. It's not empty. There's a thing in there.
It's probably just an advertisement, but I'll read it just to let us down easy.
It's probably something from Beats. Something
Oh, yeah.
Beats.
Some
Yeah.
beats.
Well, actually, it seems like it's an actual letter here from TG. So, greetings, for what it's worth, staff. I think they mean us. I just finished listening to Season 11, Episode 3, Furs Helping Furs. Thank you for another great uplifting episode. I did have 2 comments to contribute. First, Rue was right. If Rue had a nickel for every time he heard that,
He'd have a nickel.
Oh, no. No. Always be careful not to give so much that you are driving yourself into a place where you need help. This is a lesson I learned when I was teaching wilderness travel for a well-known environmental group. Rule 1, if someone is injured, like falling down a slope, stop, think, do not become the second emergency because you rushed in to help. And second, I forgot to send it in a note for the episode. Papa Bear is still running his advice column to help furs. https www.askpapabear.com. Thank you for all you do, TG. Thank you very much for that email.
Awesome.
I know I've heard of Ask Papa Bear, but I don't think I've actually ever checked it out. But it's good to know that it's a resource there, and I might actually have to check it out now.
So for those that didn't know, the last episode was Furs Helping Furs. So we basically talked about furries helping other furries. So it was a very uplifting story, and so or not story episode. But one thing that what Tim had talked a little bit about is just making sure that you don't burn yourself out by helping other people. Make sure that you take care of yourself first. So like, for example, when you're in a plane and every single time when you're on a plane, they go through what happens if you drop in cabin pressure, right? So if you drop in cabin pressure, you know that the masks come down, and they always tell you, make sure that you put the mask on you first before you help anybody else out. And so you also need to do that when you're helping other people as well.
Yep. Well, awesome. Well, let's see. I think that about wraps it up. Hey, Rue, you want to do us a little housekeeping before we sign off for the day?
Sure. So our website is forwhatitsworth.com. Please go over there. It makes it look like the people actually go onto the site itself. We are on Twitter, Blue Sky, Mastodon, and Facebook at For What It's Worth. So if you want to hit us up on there, that would be great. We also have a Telegram channel. Please message me if you'd like to be added. I will be asking you whether or not that you're 18 plus. Our email is cast@forwhatitsworth.com. Or if you have a specific thing, like for example, you find some sort of audio issue, you can always email voss@forwhatitsworth.com, or you can email sammy@forwhatitsworth.com, Nuka, Click, or Rue @forwhatitsworth.com. We also have SpeakPipe. We love hearing voices other than the voices that are inside of our head. So please, send us send us something at speakpipe.com/forwhatitsworth or FWIW. Please tell a friend about the show. We don't have any sort of marketing, so that's basically our marketing is, promoting us to other people. If you find out that somebody's struggling with a particular topic and you want to toss them an episode or so, we have a whole library of episodes on all sorts of topics, all about the furry fandom. And with that, we have our next episode, which our next episode is about cringe. Nuka, do you want to talk a little bit about that? Since you know so much about cringe.
I don't know what I was thinking of when I came with this idea. It's one of those things that seemed like a good idea when it was written down, and now that I'm facing on the prospect of actually leading this episode, I'm like, what was I thinking? So yeah, we're going to have a sensible discussion about cringe in the furry fandom. And of course, because we're masochists, we're gonna do it live. So join us. We'll have all the details in our social medias about when that will be. But if there's gonna be one episode I think that you want to be there for live, it'll be the furry cringe one. So And also feel free to send us emails and just let us know about furry cringe. Your thoughts on furry cringe? What is, what isn't cringe? It's gonna be an absolute derailment of an episode. I can't wait.
Well, I think that comes to the end. So, this has been Sammy.
This has been Rue.
And click.
And Voss.
Oh shit, the poutine's here.
And this has been
For what it's worth.
For What It's Worth.